for me personally. But it won't be easy for these guys. In the top right, we've got the blue Terran player. You know him, you love him. He's Liquid Clem.
And it definitely won't be easy at all for this guy. He is Liquid Mana. I believe he's rocking the Captain America jersey, by the way, whereas Clem going with the classic Liquid jersey.
That's the coolest partnership, by the way. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna wear my Captain America shirt out today and be like, oh, you're just a big fan? He's like, no. These guys basically pay me. He's like, I'm basically sponsored by the Avengers. Get at me. And I'm not gonna lie, I am extremely jelly. That is friggin' badass, cats.
Yeah, I would wear my jersey
team
for sure.
Team Liquid, just all over. I think I was seeing a lot of talks about, I don't know if they were in CS or Valorant or something, like they've been competing all over the place forever. One of the longest standing esports organizations and full of general class acts, especially after the Huck trade, right? So you've just got the best possible people there. I love you, Chris, if you're watching this. He's actually been playing a lot more again too. I've been seeing him on the ladders, but
you ran into him a few times?
No. I just I guess I'm one of the 5 people that he didn't remove from StarCraft on his friends list. Sometimes I just see him on there, grinding it out.
I've hit him on the ladder before, but not since I swapped on over to Protoss. He would be much higher at this point. But yeah, he sometimes comes back and plays a little bit on his IR account.
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah. So we've got Ice and Chrome. I think a nice, good map to start any series off. As a Terran player, I like this map a lot. As a Protoss player, you've got a couple of good spots for proxies. You've got, it's not too difficult to get a read on what your opponent's doing. You can do a lot with Stalkers on this map aggressively or defensively. And it does lend itself to those longer games. So the Reaper actually just went looking for proxies first before really doing anything else. And I don't mind that at all out of Clem. I think if you are in his position, you have to basically believe that you are the better player. And not necessarily a cocky way, but more of my opponent might try to do something aggressive to pull a fast one on me kind of way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to know the mindset of your opponent and try to abuse it. That is giving your opponent the respect that they deserve in a certain way. So I love what Clem has done so far, and killing that probe. Mana doesn't send a second one. There's gonna be no proxies that he has to be wary of, and I'm surprised. What is he waiting for to move out, or does he not move out with these?
I think this is actually kind of a little like weird bop it opening you can do. And I like the double Reaper Hellion opening versus Protoss. I think that it's a little bit derivative of Terran versus Terran builds, where you're usually being attacked with something very aggressive at the start of the game. So going for this setup kind of gives you the ability to defend an early poke, and 2 Reapers and a Hellion will kill a Stalker or Adept that gets moved out, because many Protoss players will send those out to scout or poke. Since the Terran usually has 1 Reaper, which can't do anything, or Marines, which also can't really, they can't chase effectively enough to kill anything. So he would get a nice grab. He might suicide these into the natural with the drop too, but the main focus of this build is a slightly more defensive opener that does allow him to still do some sort of aggression. And it's going to be a mine drop with an armory. So if there's no detection, which this being a Stargate build, there's not really any stable, reliable detection. This could get ugly really fast if that Oracle isn't in the perfect place when this drop hits.
I would have loved to see the drop hit at the main as well, because the natural is going to be breached regardless by the Reaper.
Oh, I love that. I love the 1 mine at the wall too, to make it harder for him to actually get around. Now he has to use 2 revelations, and he doesn't actually kill either of the mines. This is actually a really, really good start. I like this for Clem.
Yeah, this is pretty good for Clem indeed. Nice angle that he chose. I can't help but to think that I don't know, the mine at the front you feel like did a lot. I guess because it has the burrow and it needs to be revealed, it's huge, huh?
I think getting the Stalker is worth it in this early game stage, because what he's doing, I mean, honestly, the best thing that Mana can do is take this third, because the 2 mines themselves, I don't think they'll be able to do anything if the Oracles are here with the Stalkers. But the nice thing is Clem just doesn't have to worry about being attacked, because this is the only detection path that Mana has. And he's like, oh, you see that? He baits the energy, drops the mine, waits for them to start shooting, picks them back up, because he just can't do anything. He can't move across the map.
Yeah, this is so annoying. It's what can you do with your mana then? I mean, you said it. Take his third maybe and just attempt to be defensive.
Be
Did
greedy,
you drop
yeah,
a robo
honestly.
at some point?
I do think I think you need to go Robotech to deal with this, because if he never, like, in a hypothetical scenario where he just tries to play with a lot of gateway units and only use the oracles for detection for the most part, like that's a losing battle, right? Because then the Terran can kind of put mines all over, or if they kill your oracles, then things get really ugly. But I think he just kind of power out the units, get the Forge, get the Twilight. I do want to see the Robo, and just power the economy as hard as possible. There's a mine between the natural and the third here, by the way. He's going to kill a probe with it, so he's still being as annoying as he can with that early harass force.
Not an irrelevant probe either, because mana is going to be supply blocked shortly after this pylon finishes, and I think he was dropping a pylon that I'm not sure he has noticed he didn't end up dropping.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. He did get another one in, so his supply's not too threatened. But these are those types of things, though, that kind of really set you off your rhythm. Because, yes, now he finally gets to take his 3 oracles across the map. But we have a missile turret on the way. There is a Viking here. And as we know, with the oracle being an armored unit now, Vikings are actually very good at pushing those away. So he's going to have all the time that he needs to get a missile turret up in that main base mineral line. And then, well, once you've gotten a bunch of Marines, the oracles aren't exactly useful anymore.
Yeah. Do we think then we're gonna see a 2 base like +1 timing? It seems like +1 combat shields and stim are all pretty well synced up together here.
It's so risky, but I actually would like it, because Mana's playing this a little, I don't know, like he's got a cannon building in the third, he's building a cannon in his main, he's getting all of these like batten down the hatches from harass, but I think a big dedicated push, like if he fights with this choke with force fields, there's something he can do there. But I think he's going to go for that attack you were talking about, Cats, because he didn't go for charge as his opener, and Blink isn't ready. So past these force fields, that's really the only thing he has to buy himself any level of time at all. And he's already going to try to take a little bit of this fight. I think 1 or 2 tank shots would be devastating onto this army.
Yeah, Stim not really done. There aren't too many medevacs, and the one that is out here is very low, though it does have full energy. Clem will use it to just reposition the tank for now, but this medevac can't really risk itself forward, so these units are a little bit trapped if Mana can try to capitalize. There is a shield battery in the back now overcharged, so that'll buy Mana a little bit of time. Keeps warping in Stalkers. Those are not great fighting units.
No, that's, I think, the hardest part about this is if he had opened directly with charge, I think there would have been the opportunity for him to really overwhelm this with all those probes he had on the third so early. But since the Nexus is still under fire, and he's actually kind of moving these probes around weirdly, just the economic loss, if he was able to get this base, would be huge. However, the supply count seems to start to tilt in favor of Mana. He's bringing all the Stalkers out. He has taken an absolute beating on them, but the base is alive. He didn't lose all the probes. He's still got a great economy. And the only thing I don't like about this is that the Oracles didn't stop this SCV from building the third command center on location, really. I think that's probably the only thing here.
They didn't have Mana, ironically enough.
Got him. Yeah, that's awkward. Well, that medevac's trying to hide from the Phoenix. Unfortunately, it is not a hallucination. You are dying. You are actually dying, medevac. Goodbye, I guess. He's going to try to drop that mine and will not be able to in time. There's another push coming out already. Clem is feeling aggressive.
Yeah, and does he have to feel aggressive, you feel like, considering how his first push didn't work out? And is Clem economically behind, or is this perfectly playable for a position of him economically?
I think since charge isn't done yet, he recognizes that it was really just a lot of Stalkers. Like he kind of lost because of numbers, but Marines and Marauders trade very cost effectively against just the Stalkers on their own. So I think pushing that forth and getting the cancel before charge is ready is the best thing he could have done. If he waits 30 seconds and charge is done and he's got, 12, 14 zealots there, I don't think he can actually shut that down. So that might have been the only opportunity for them to do that. 3 Oracles, by the way. No missile turret at the third. Getting some work done.
Yeah, 3 Oracles will, of course, one-shot SCVs. 2 can one-shot drones and probes, but not SCVs.
He's getting the mules there, too.
Yeah.
Getting the mules, too. Very, very good.
So we were talking about a potentially dedicated 2-base attack earlier on the side of Clem, Nate, and I thought that's what we were going to see, but we didn't see any reinforcements, and that's what allowed Mana to hold ultimately, is that he had like a couple of warp-ins and a lot of time bought for those warp-ins with the super shield battery, right? So do you think that Clem could have leaned more on reinforcing that attack?
think so, but I also think there's a fear with the oracles, right? Because they can kind of take almost like a Nautilus role, where if he tries to rally out and it's like 2 Marines and a Marauder going together, like he could, with the oracles, chow down on quite a few of them. I think he was killing some of the reinforcements over the barracks initially, which that actually could have had a pretty big part of it, because I'm like, I don't know where all the oracle energy went. If he didn't deny the command center, I think he was trying to kill what was left, but
yeah, he was actually out of energy for the command center. So that's what must have happened, this mana cut reinforcements effectively with those oracles, enabling the hold. Hey, this is gonna be taken down at 2 already potentially before storm.
Oh, another one. Are there none left over here? Oh
Storm will
god.
complete shortly after. This is a nightmare. There's 3 Templars, I think, each with 1 storm now, though.
Yes.
But there's a ghost from downtown.
Boy. Oh, perfect EMPs. Even saves the ghost. Widowmines detonate over the zealots. Well, I don't know what mana can do to defend this. This is just so much bio, and there's no splash damage at all anymore. Just a single Archon. He does bring in a couple zealots from the back. That Widowmine splash is nice. If he could get through the zealots and target fire the Immortal, that would be awesome, but he's actually starting to back off a little bit here, recognizing that he needs some time for the medevacs to actually heal that army.
Yeah, still he's gonna be able to kite, but the zealots are gonna be a little bit of a problem. I'm not sure if Clem has enough staying power here, especially with the oracles of mana coming in. The blink is gonna happen aggressively, and now the chase is on. Clem does not have any reinforcing units once again. It's just this poke while he develops his economy and a greater army that can't be cut off, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like he had such a huge opening.
Yeah, that Widowmine did a lot of work too there. I think the only big thing that I can take away from this, if he doesn't get pushed all the way back to his base, which I feel like his bio should be able to deal with this at some point, needs to stop overextending. But that 4th base didn't really get situated super well during all of this, right? He's only got 7 probes on it. He wasn't really able to saturate it. He wasn't able to set up the gases or batteries or cannons. So all it takes is one slip up by Mana, and there is no anchor at this 4th to keep him alive, other than obviously Warpins. So he needs to still be very cautious. He may be worried about a drop or something coming in from another base at some point. But Clem's just got another massive wave moving out. He needs to get storms. You see, look, he's starting multiple shield batteries. There's the cannon, stasis ward. Now he's trying to basically get himself in that good defensive position I was talking about.
Yeah, he keeps being forced into Archons because Clem keeps threatening, but this is huge. This is a lot of time Mana is going to be able to buy for himself for those Templars to gather energy instead of being forced onto more Archons. He has now 5, and that's going to be 5 storms effectively. So at least by the time this bio units are unfrozen from time.
Yeah, no, this is the perfect time to move out, right? Well, all these units are going to be stuck. That preemptively storms so that those units take the 2 ticks of damage that are guaranteed before anything can happen. I think moving the rest of his units out was definitely a bold move, though. This didn't pan out quite the way I think he was hoping.
Yeah, one of the Templars doesn't really storm before going down. And I mean, we talked about 5 storms. It might have been slightly mistimed, or maybe not all the Templars had the storms, because we only saw 1 effective storm, right? And the rest didn't happen. So that would have played a huge role as well.
Yeah, this is it's wild because he's kind of playing like a mass economic style where Mana just wants to play like brawler, mass gateway units, warping in tons of things, not really relying too much on a robo or even like a disruptor tech, or even not really even thinking about like a big air transition or anything. He just wants to have really well upgraded gateway units with a couple of immortals as a backbone and high Templar inside the prism so that he can bring those storm drops over, which is still really risky, by the way, because we don't actually have any observers on the map. So he just now starts his first one. Those cannons have been all the detection he can really have in this game.
Yeah, and Clem has kept up map control. Mana has not been on the side of the map of Clem for a long while. So as much as we're looking at this exchange the entire game, and it seems like a little bit of a robe and a tug of war, it's Clem that's developing a huge economy behind this, and now he's actually gonna take this engagement. It looks like if he's able to, then this position will be denied, and that means more and more economy for Clem.
It's hard, right? A lot of these trades right now is turning into warp-ins versus medevac energy, so he actually can't really heal his bio army over here anymore. He doesn't have enough medevacs to continue to make this push work. He needs to pull back. He needs to give his army some time to actually heal up, give the medevacs enough energy so that when they do stim again, they can all be healing. Because right now, they're kind of just barely holding this army. It's very piecemeal, and I do feel that it's becoming increasingly more risky for Clem to force these fights. He does have a massive supply advantage, so he doesn't feel bad trading cost effectively. Yeah. but it's still about as committed as he could really be with this type of attack. Yeah, there it is. GG.
I mean, yeah, like I think the Clem was playing a different game than we were watching on screen in the sense that he was like he was like 2 or 3 bases up on mana at that point, right? So each one of these attacks was kind of like a massive force, most of his army, but he was playing pretty safe, developing his economy and his infrastructure behind it. So each time they traded was a good time for a trade for Clem, and ends up taking the game decisively.
Yeah, very, very well done there. And I didn't really think that Clem was a super at risk at the end of that game, just because there wasn't really ever that good anchor set up for mana. But if you're looking at ways where a Terran player can throw a game, stimming your orange bio army when the rest of your units don't have energy to heal them is like, that's very risky, because a couple good storms over that force and suddenly we can watch 40 supply die instantly. But that's the real strength of Clem, though. Once he started attacking, he never stopped, right? It was just constant push. Hit the north side of the third, immediately canceled the fourth, pushed the fourth again and again. And those Widow Mines did a lot of work too, because his whole detection for the first 10 minutes of the game was just the Oracle Revelation, which is not bad at the moment for detection, but it's not as consistent or reliable as, putting the Observer on easy mode right behind your Photon Cannon or something, so that it can see everything in front of the base without risking itself, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, the Observer is obviously much cheaper than having all 3 of your Oracles parked at your main.
Yeah.
And it's, you don't even know where it is. You don't have to tag anything with it. It's just, like you said, easy mode. So a little bit of a build order loss in that sense at the start. But let's talk about Mana's recovery throughout that game. I mean, he made the best out of that situation. I'm not sure how he came out of that okay, but he came out of that okay, seemingly. Establishes a third, fights his way back. And if those 5 Templar don't get killed at the start of that fight without storming, when storm is like 1 second from finishing, I think he maybe even holds and stabilizes and makes a game out of it. So very well done from him as well.
It just all really takes in that situation is one big hold, right? Because then that mass gateway becomes a snowball effect. But in the top right, here he is, the red Protoss player, Liquid Mana.
And on the bottom left, it is Francis Hope, Liquid Clem. Francis Pride at this point, I think, more than.
Hell yeah. Clem is a fantastic StarCraft player. Yeah, been very, very fun to watch him. I think brings a level of, I really feel like micro, honestly, that an engagement taking that most non-Korean Terrans, even the best ones, were never really known for, right? The micro side has always been the harder part for Terran, but also the higher skill ceiling, which is why those top Korean Terrans kind of dominated in their primes, because there's just so much that you can do if you have that control down. But it's like driving at a 200 kilometers an hour or something, right? One mistake and then you're flying off to the side. So you got to be very, very, very cautious with your micro, with your control, because if he eats 1 or 2 storms, that's it. All that lead that he has, that army can be gone in an instant, and then suddenly a Prism's in your base, Zealots are ripping your workers apart while you're trying to get your 4th, and things can get ugly. But Probe almost dying here. That would be pretty awkward if the SCV's got that boxing ring there.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I think that a lot of the micro-oriented Terrans that we've seen birthed in the foreign scene, like I tend to think of North Americans to some degree, like Masa, Kelasur, Future. I think they are very micro-oriented players and very good at it, but they're all hyper-aggressive and they don't really macro very well behind it comparatively, right? Like, whereas Clem is doing all of these things, and then you look at the map and he also has 7 bases fully saturated, perfectly spread SCVs amongst them. He plays better than any Terran I've seen, I think, in the foreign scene over multiple screens, right? Whereas yes. I think if you focus more on something like hyper aggression of like 2 base or 3 base, we have some other examples. Clem is on a trail of his own, it seems, in that he's the full package.
Yes. I think that's the biggest thing. And here, mana. So we were talking about this off screen after the Hearthstone series, but I was saying that I feel like if he was going to go Oracle, he'd have the Stargate further away. And I do think that this would be not the best spot to put if you wanted to do Void Rays, right? Unless you were specifically hoping that the Terran scouts for a Stargate and just never sees it because it's so far away. So I do think that this lends itself more to being an Oracle opening. And also, of course, the Reaper will not be able to scout it, or a Scan will not be able to scout it inside the base of mana. So, well, I say that, and you know what? The Reaper's actually going to go straight to it. So just, I'm going to shut up now. It is an Oracle.
He is smart as well. What can you say? Yeah. So yeah, it will be an Oracle. It will be spotted, and I presume that mine will be hidden somewhere to try and beta the Oracle in. 2 Stalkers coming to defend the pylon as they should, so Clem will be forced back. But already Viking in production will probably not be a great struggle this Oracle.
His warp gate's going to finish in 10 seconds, so he might need to try to block with the probe, and he is trying his best to block with that. Actually, really well done. Does buy himself a little bit more time for the Stalkers to get back. If he kills anything else with this Hellion, that's I think that's actually a really big win, because there's really not a whole lot of opportunity. 3 probes is fantastic. Yeah, I'm sorry, the dog's getting upset. He plays Protoss. Doesn't
this
like
Reaper
seeing
has
probes
been
die.
so annoying as well. He's
If he
actually
kills
gonna get
that
the pylon.
pylon, like, what are you gonna do, bro? You gonna waste your Oracle energy killing the Reaper? All right, there you go.
Yep.
Now it's gonna be harder for you to actually do something meaningful with the Oracle.
Absolutely. So yeah, very, very well done so far on the side of Clem, spotting everything and doing everything that he needs to do. Mana being a sneaky Protoss, I think it's one of the things that you have to try and be as a Protoss player, and Mana's excellent at it. But he hasn't found a solid opening yet. And here are now these 2 Oracles headed towards what is that? 9 Marines.
Yeah, that's I don't think the 2 Oracles win, Cats. I don't believe that they do. Especially since they changed them to need 3 shots to kill those early game bio units. So he just comes, tags the Revelation. Revelation is nice and cheap now. It doesn't last as long as it used to, but it's still something that gives him that ability to know, hey, if these Marines are actually moving out, right? If a medevac scoops them all up, he'll be able to see that. But Clem's not in that much of a rush this game.
Yeah, it's also a little bit better in those build ordery scenarios that we've seen today in TVP as well, with the mines, right, where you actually have like the option to reveal for a little bit cheaper. So it's not, you know, the Observer is still massively better, but Stargate isn't as bad.
Yeah, well, it's important for, I'm always going to say this, it's important for all the races to have multiple different types of options for how they want to deal with stuff. So I like that. I like the utility of it. I'm happy it doesn't last a whole minute anymore, but the fact that it's more spammable now so that you can actually use it as real detection, I think that's a healthy change for the game. I like Revelation where it is.
I agree. Okay, so we see a little bit of an army here from Clem. Are we looking at a move out or just establishing a 3rd base, perhaps?
He's got an SCV on it. Look, he's going to build on location again. I imagine he'll still move out, but you might want to leave the Viking by the 3rd just in case, or maybe he'll just run into these Oracles. Anything can happen, I suppose.
Yeah, he's moving out. There will be 2 medevacs to follow through, and the Oracle's doing a very good job consistently for mana throughout this series. In cutting reinforcements, if nothing else. He has them aptly positioned and will also tag the rest of the army of Clem now with those two medevacs.
And you know what, Cats? You mentioned this last game, and we talked about how this almost became a problem, was that he went for Blink really fast. Stasis Trap doesn't get the whole army, but he went for very quick charge. So he's actually got a Zealot flank that he's already setting up to try and sandwich this army, and I think it should do a lot better than just Stalkers, right?
Beautiful.
We're going to have to see how good the control is. Oh, great sandwich.
Yeah, the Zealots get stuck on the force fields a little bit, though, behind them. But yeah, this was an amazing sandwich. It was, what is the best?
BLT?
BLT.
I mean, I like, I'll take a chicken with cheddar, you know what I'm saying? A little grilled chicken, some lettuce, boom, boom. I'm very basic with my sandwiches. It's got to be a hot sandwich, you know, like a hot.
Oh,
like
no
a
doubt,
hoagie.
no doubt. Yeah, no.
It's got to be. You got to
no
toast the hoagie.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
A Philly cheesesteak, is that a sandwich?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Philly cheesesteak kind of, I would say, falls more into the hoagie family because of the type of roll that you usually use, right?
Yeah.
There's really only like, yeah. There's really only one
Hoagies
type.
are sandwiches.
There's difference. There's a little more. I'm just saying, if you've ever had a Philly cheesesteak without the proper roll, you haven't had a Philly cheesesteak. That's all.
True.
Very special type of roll. So these do DTs, by the way. He slipped this in during all of this. Unfortunately, he opened Stargate, so his opponent built missile turrets. So the DT's not really going to do too much for mana, unfortunately. Building oracles will make Terrence build turrets, so as a mid-game option, I do think it's a little interesting that he didn't wait for another move out before he showed that he had a Dark Shrine.
Would you argue that a Philly cheesesteak is also with whiz cheese as opposed to like, any other kind?
Well, all the good places in Philly do Cheese Whiz, but they'll give you other stuff if you want. I think the best one I've had, they did a little bit of a mix between American and Whiz.
So you're saying that the cheese doesn't matter as much, the brand of cheese as the.
Oh no, it's certainly I if I was gonna get a Philly cheesesteak, I would have to I would go probably like a Cheese Whiz with yellow American would be what I would do personally. There's a lot of my family lives in Philly, so I've gone to all the best places, and I think most of them recommend mixing. So I'm like, I'm not gonna argue with the experts. One of the best sandwiches I get to have whenever I go home.
No sandwich this time around on the side of mana though, as Clem pokes into this. There's an overcharge available for that battery, so that's always a nice safety mechanism. But all in all, Clem already sniping an Archon for little cost.
Yeah, I like that he has the bunker at the third. It does look like it might burn down from that last attack, but it's something that's often overlooked. But on this map, that third is so exposed, it's so open. There's so many angles to attack. You can't really wall that third base off, you know? So putting the bunker, if you're gonna do it on any peripheral base, that base is the best one to do, I think.
I absolutely love bunkers at bases personally from Terran players, because I think that StarCraft has progressed to a place where, especially like in non-mirror matchups, there's always going to be counterattacks and counterpokes, either Zealots or Zerglings. This is a huge engagement though, as it looks like Mana was doing okay, but the Immortals kind of backstep a little bit too far away before taking any damage. There's a Disruptor incoming as well, but it looks like Clem will be forced back before it has a say in the matter. And I've seen Clem's split against Disruptors. I would personally never get a Disruptor against them.
Yeah, his micro has just been out of this world. And once again, it's just a bunch of gateway units with an immortal backbone. And as we saw in the last game, Clem did a really good job of just raining down bio on him. And you know what? I'm gonna call this out because I thought this was a weakness in the last map. He's got way more medevacs than last time, Cats.
Yes.
So he's retained the medevac count, and he has so much healing power now for this bio. All of them have like, it looks to be like 20-30% energy, which is going to be fine for these fights. So unless he gets a really big disruptor hit, gets a couple of bio units there. I don't think that there's a whole lot that's good against this. Really nice backstab though, with some DTs and Zealots hitting the third and the fourth.
Yeah, this is extremely important. We saw last game, even though Clem wasn't directly winning with this type of siege that I anticipate is going to last a little bit longer, judging from last game. He was developing his economy behind it like crazy this time around. Mana with a presence of mind to actually do something about it, and still continuing to expand. So very, very well done. If he can continue to deny that base, that'll be nice.
No, yeah, this been really, really well done. Really well handled game by Clem. The backstab was nice, throwing those Zealots into both of the expansions, but he actually did save and finish that fourth command center. So he was able to lift it off until those units went away. And this is about as good of a position as you can really ask for, because once again, there's no big anchor to this army. The Disruptors are going to try to serve that role, but as our observer is showing us very intelligently, lots of mines kind of everywhere. The detection's been lacking. Mana has a single observer now and no more oracles. So his ability to deal with these mines is going to be basically just trying to micro the Disruptors as well as he can. But that's going to be possibly wasted shots or shots that won't be able to make it onto the army. So I think you kill this fourth base and then you pull back, and he's actually already got a trap of mines everywhere else that Mana could try to go.
Yeah, it's super cool because it makes it so that the position is so much safer. You know that there's not going to be units flanking you. If there is unit flanking you, there will be less units flanking you than normal. It's a thing that Clem seems to value more than most players is positioning. He does not take bad fights. Same as Serral, right? Like Serral doesn't take bad fights usually.
Yeah.
Because he knows it's a losing fight. So they always try to cover their bases like this, and it's great to watch.
Yeah, that was really nice. He does clear out those mines, but you know what? A lot of his disruptors are on cooldown now, actually. I think all of them are. So this is kind of what I was talking about. When you don't have that detection capability, he can't really zone this out just yet. The next disruptor cooldown's about to come off, but just think about this. He gets all this time now to set up the Liberator. Stalkers are going to blink into it. A lot of them are bruised too, so those libs are going to work. That fourth is canceled, and he's actually threatening some of the production from the low ground while simultaneously attacking on the west side.
Jeez. Yeah, those ghosts are gonna power walk out of those disruptors, and now Clem with a huge siege and the backbone economically to substantiate it as well. So even if it didn't work, he's still in a fantastic position. The disruptors are trying to be safe, but it's too much. Mana will tap out, and Clem will win with a comfortable 2-0.
Clem